Okay, good morning from the Village Loafer. I'm getting ready to put together a batch of dough, and I've had a beekeeper friend of mine who's interested to learn how to do sourdough and my recipe and do what I do. So mainly I'm making this recipe to show Tracy how I put the recipe together, but it's also for anybody, okay? So let's get started. It really helps no matter what you're baking if you have a digital scale, because if you weigh the ingredients, it's much more accurate than like using a cup of flour. If you try to get 1 cup of flour, 2 cups, 3 cups of flour, it can vary by 30 grams over 3 cups. So it's much more accurate to weigh everything, right? So you weigh this. The good thing about these scales is you can zero them out. So I put the mixing bowl on here, and now I hit 0. So I want to put 450 grams of water in here. So I'm going to put 450 grams of water. $450 grams of water. And then I want 75 grams of honey. So you just press the 0, now the scale goes back to 0, right? And then I'm going to put 75 grams of honey in here. 75 grams of honey. Then I want 450 grams of starter. Another test you can do is when you put your starter in with the water, your starter should float on top of the water. If your starter sinks, then you don't want to use it because it's not going to come out well. This is full of air bubbles, so you can see that it's really going to float. And take a picture inside the bowl, in here, inside, yeah? Now I'm going to put 450 grams of starter in here, and you'll see when I put it on top of the water, go right inside. See how it's floating? That's very important. You want it to be floating on top of the water. If it sinks, don't use it. Okay, you can step back. Now I'm going to get 450 grams of starter in here. When your starter is correct, it's going to be very a lot of air bubbles in it. So it'll definitely float. This should be it right here. Alright. So then we'll get the extra bit off of here. Another thing that's a valuable tool, no matter what you're cooking and baking, is a nice rubber spatula. It's my right hand in here. So now I've got the water, the starter, and the honey. That's my liquid ingredients. After I get the liquid ingredients together, I want to mix that up. Because you don't want to put the flour right on top of the heavy starter, the water, the honey. It's not going to mix well. It's much better if you just take a minute and mix the honey, the starter, and the water, mix it up really good together before you add the dry ingredients to it. Only takes a second. Get that all mixed up really well. And then when you add the flour, it's going to mix much better. So, now I've got all the liquid ingredients well mixed. Before I started the video, because I didn't want it to be too long, I've already put all the dry ingredients in this bowl. All the dry ingredients in the recipe are in that bowl. And then what I do before I put it in here is I use this here by hand, and I mix these all up real well with this whisk. Get these all mixed up nice before you even put it into the wet ingredients. And then it's going to mix together more in a more homogeneous way. Everything that's listed on my dry ingredients is in this bowl. Then what I do is I put most of this in here, not 100%. I'm going to put most of this in here because when this is mixing, I want it to stay in a wet liquid for at least 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes. I'm going to mix it slowly. It's going to be really wet, so it also incorporates all the ingredients. The last little bit of flour that I leave in this bowl, I'm going to put in slowly after about 7 minutes or so, right? So you're going to see me put almost all of this in here, but not 100%. I'm going to leave like that much in the bowl, and that will allow this to be a pretty wet mixture once I start mixing it. That first 5 to 7 minutes, I'm going to use this paddle attachment because it's going to mix it up better than using the bread hook. So for the first, say, 7 minutes, I'm going to use this paddle, get it mixed really well, and that will start developing the gluten. And then I'm going to put the bread hook on when I add the rest of this flour, 1 spoon at a time. I'm going to add a spoon, let it mix, a spoon, let it mix. I'm going to add it slowly, right? So let's put this on the mixer. Put in the paddle attachment. Then I'm just going to put that on slow like that. And after a few minutes, I'll pick it up just a little bit, then a little bit more. But I'm going to let it go. I don't time it. You know, I'm going to let it go about 7 minutes. Then I'm going to put on the dough hook, and I'm going to take the rest of this, and I'm going to put it in 1 spoon at a time. When I get to the end of that, I'll make another short video to show you how you know when the dough is done. We need to develop gluten. All flour has gluten in it. Gluten is the strength that allows you to shape the loaf of bread and have it stay in the shape you put it in. Whether you make a round one called a boule or a long one called a batade, whichever way you do it, it's the gluten that's going to make it hold its shape. So I'm using batade, I'm using a long one like a loaf of bread. And then when I take it out of the basket, after it proofs, I don't want it to just go bleh and turn into flat and go like that. You want it to stay nice and firm and in a good shape. That's the gluten that holds the shape. So you've got to develop the gluten. And that's another thing, if you're going to make bread, you need to learn what gluten is, how to develop it, and how to know when you have it developed, all right? So I'm going to stop this video now. This is how you put all the ingredients together, and then I'll make another short video clip when I show you how I know when I'm done with the dough and I can put it in the proofing baskets, okay? All right, so that's it for this video, and I'll make another follow-up in a little bit, all right? So stay tuned to The Village Loafer. Bye-bye.